And hopefully this is working. Not really sure. Anyway, it's been a little while since I made a video, and I thought that I would try to do some live streaming today, working on some simple coding exercises on exercism.io. So I found out about this website just recently from a friend of mine. In fact, I'll show you his YouTube channel. You check out Baylor Breaks It Down. This is just a friend of mine who's also a programmer, and he's got a lot of really great videos. Anyway, yeah, he recently started streaming some exercism.io live streams and inspired me to do the same, so I'm going to give it a shot today. I had Exercism installed at one point, but I'm going to try to do it from scratch here just in case anyone else would like to follow along. So I'm headed over to exercism.io, and what we need to do is, first of all, sign up with our GitHub account. So I've done that. And I'm going to go ahead and grab my API key here as well. Okay. Okay, so I think we need to download a client here. So let's just try to figure out how to do that really quickly. Also, if my sound is not working, just give me a heads up. Try to keep it on the chat, but I'm not sure how much I'll get to do that. Alright, so let's see if we can get this client installed. So we'll head over to languages. What's cool about Exercism is that this looks like this would be a really great place to kind of like learn a new language potentially. Looks like there are just a ton of languages here. We're going to give Python a spin today, I think. So let's try to find that. Okay, so we need to download the command line client, and I'm on Windows this morning. And looks like we need Chocolatey, which I'm pretty sure I have already installed. So is it IO client? IO CLI. Alright, so we'll give this a shot. Detect you're not running from a limited command shell, blah blah blah. Do you want to continue? Yes. Alright. So Chocolatey's going to install the command line client. Looks like I'm getting access denied to the path. That's weird. Let's see if we can run this as administrator and do the same thing. Okay. Alright, so it looks like the audio is working fine. And hopefully this gets it installed for us. Alright, cool. So it looks like our little Exercism CLI is working. Or is downloading anyway. So it looks like once we get that set up, we can upgrade it, but should just download the latest version. And then we'll probably have some specific instructions to follow for working on the problem. So once we've downloaded the client, we can fetch the latest, or we can fetch the first Python exercise using exercism fetch. And I'll need to put in my API key here, which I'll probably keep secret. Alright, so let's see here. And I'm going to go back to my original shell here as well. Alright. And I'm going to go ahead and create a new directory here. Looks like my screen is not showing. Alright, let's see if I can get that fixed. Sorry, just bear with me for a second while I try to fix my screen. Yeah, I'm using OBS for live streaming, and it's been a little while, and it looks like a few things have changed here with my previous settings. So I'm just going to try to figure out what's going on here for a few seconds. Yeah, it looks like one of my displays is working, but the other one isn't. I can see that that one's working. All right. Yeah, I'd like to get my other monitor working so that I can leave the chat open in the laptop window here. If I need to, I'll probably restart the stream, but hopefully we can get this figured out. All right, so it looks like that's working. Okay, cool. That should be working. Let me know if you can see the screen now. Okay, so all I did was I downloaded this exercism client with Chocolatey, and now I should be able to go ahead and I'm going to create a new directory for it. Just call it exercism.io, and we're going to go ahead and cd into here. Alright, and what I'm going to do is now set up my API key with exercism. Looks like I have a few people in the chat, which is cool. I didn't really know what to expect. It's been a few months since I made a video, and just been super busy with some things, and thought it would be fun to do a live stream. Alright, so what I'm going to do now is find my API key, and it looks like we need to exercism configure key, and I'm just going to hide this for a second. And there's my API key. No, alright. So exercism configure key is equal to that. Alright, that's cool. So hopefully we can get started now. It looks like we just have to basically fetch Python. So let's try that. Okay, so not submitted, one problem, Python, hello world. All right, so I guess we just go ahead and cd into, oh, it's here. So C exercism, Python, hello world. And I think that the way this works is that there should be some tests in this directory. So yeah, and I think that they're using PyTests, which I'm not sure if I have installed. So this might take just a second here while I kind of figure out the workflow. Okay, it also wants to install PyTest cache, pip3 install, blah, 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 PyTest version. I don't know if I have PyTest. Looks like it. All right, so that's good. And so We can also just run the basic, we could just run the test script in itself as well, but I want to try to use PyTest and see what their recommended workflow is here. So what is X? PyTest X. PDB is the Python debugger. That's pretty cool. I just started checking that out maybe a few weeks ago. All right, so let's just try PyTest FF. I think is failure first, it said. All right, failed test first, and hello world test. Okay, cool. So we see our first error. Alright, so now I gotta decide how I'm going to work on these tests, and I guess I'll just use Vim for right now. Python, hello world, and then we'll work in here. Alright, and then the other thing I'm gonna do is try to sorry, just trying to get my kind of workflow set up. Alright, so let's try to edit my vimrc, which working on Windows is always kind of fun, figuring all this out on the fly, but we'll go ahead and make the font size a little bit bigger. Okay, cool. So we have this, we basically have this hello world script, and what I need to do is read the test. So we have an assertion error, none is not equal to hello world. Well, alright, so it's expecting hello world no matter what, so we probably don't need name here, and rather than pass, I wonder if it wants me to print. I mean, I think it's just going to be as simple as that. I'm not sure. So once we're finished, how do we submit a test? I guess I could run the test. Okay, so test passed. And so I guess we can just go ahead and submit the problem. So I'm going to check out how to do that now. Fetch, exercism, submit, path to file. Alright, so exercism, submit, hello world, py. Hopefully this works. Okay, so now we can go ahead and fetch, I guess. And maybe I'll create an alias for this so I don't have to type it each time. So I think in Commander we can go into the config, and in here there's a user aliases, let's see, and I'm just going to try this, see if it works. Just call it EF is exercism fetch. I'll probably have to start a new terminal, not sure. Alright, whatever. Exercism fetch. We need to go back here. Sorry. Exercism Python. Okay, leap. And we'll go ahead and run the test, I guess. Sorry, I'm still trying to get used to this workflow a little bit. So, PyTest X FF leap test.py. Okay, test year divisible by 100, not divisible by 400. Okay, so this is like a leap year thing. Let's go ahead and do test.pi. So we're going to need to check whether or not it's divisible by 4, divisible by 4, not divisible by 100, divisible by 100, not divisible by 400. Okay. So def is leap year, and we're going to pass it a year, and now we need to return true or false depending on whether or not that particular year is a leap year. Alright, so what I am suspecting I'm going to need to do is import datetime. And let me think about this for a second. So, well, no, not really. It's just a number. So what we can do is the first test. Yeah, I'm going to keep this open in a separate window. So, or a separate terminal. So test x ff test.pi divisible by 100, not divisible by 400, and I'm going to go ahead and close this. Okay. So we can probably just take the mod, I guess, and make sure there's no remainder when we divide by 100. Is that right? It's divisible by 100, not divisible by 400. So if year mod 100 is not 0, so we'll return false. I think this is right. It is a little intimidating just writing code on a live stream, but if you're watching, I appreciate you you watching. Okay. So we're still failing the same test because we need to check if the year is not divisible by 400. Year divisible by 100, not divisible by 400. So if we do have a remainder, that means it's not divisible by 400. So the year should be divisible by 100 and should not be divisible by 400. So we should be able to divide by 100 or have a mod 100 be 0, and year mod 400 none is not false. Alright, well anyway, we'll set this up so we'll say else return true. Let me know if I need to make my font bigger as well. It looks like I probably do. So true is not false. We're returning true there now. We need to make sure that 2100, which 2100 divided by 400 gives us a remainder, and of course 21 divided by 100 is just 21. So Yeah, sorry, I'm kind of psyching myself out here. If the year is not divisible by 100 and the year is divisible by 400, then return false, otherwise return true. How do I fix the size of my font here? Appearance. That's frustrating. Okay. So, if the year is not evenly divisible by 100 and it is divisible by 400, return false. So when we pass it 2100, 2100 mod 100 should equal 0. 2100 mod 400 should not equal 0. I don't know what I'm missing here. Something obvious. I'm gonna go ahead and read the README as well. Alright, so leap year occurs on every year that's evenly divisible by 4, except every year that's evenly divisible by 100, unless the year is also divisible by 400. Alright, so what we can say, if year mod 4 is not equal to 0, then we can definitely return false. Else if, and I gotta, sorry about my highlights here, else if years evenly divisible by 100, we can say if year divided by 400 is equal to 0, we want to return false, else return true. Kind of psyched myself out on this challenge a little bit. Okay, syntax error. Sorry. I've been out of the game too long. This is our syntax error. Did I not see? Yeah, I'm still failing here. So if our year's evenly divisible is, if the year is not evenly divisible by 4, then we're going to return false immediately. Otherwise, we're going to check if it's evenly divisible by 100, and if that's the case, then alright, so else return false. So otherwise we check to see if it's evenly divisible by 100. If it's also in that case divisible by 400, then we return false. Otherwise we return true, which should be a leap year, right? So because we're saying that it is evenly divisible by 4 and it is evenly divisible by 100 and it's not evenly divisible by 400, we return true. Otherwise, we return false. So if we were to put 2100 in as our test case here, 2100 mod 4 is 525, so we'll be here. 2100 mod 100 is here. 2100 mod 400 so that's not going to be equal to 0, so it's going to return true. It's saying that 2100 is not a leap year, even though it is divisible by 4 and it is divisible by 100, obviously. So maybe I'm still misunderstanding leap year. Divisible by 4, except every year that's evenly divisible by 100. My bad. So we'll say if the leap year divisible by mod 4 is not equal to 0, we return false in any case. And we say, like, otherwise, if that year divisible by 100 is not equal to 0, it's so hard to write logic when you feel like you're under a little bit of pressure, but I don't know why I'm so psyched out by it, but all right. So I think rather than having like nested here, we know like for sure that if it's divisible by 400, it's also evenly divisible by 400. We should be able to return true if the year mod 100 is no. I'm off to a pretty rough start. Return false. Does this make sense? Except every year that is evenly divisible by 100. Looks like we have a few viewers. Ravi is asking what's the problem definition. Sadly, it's pretty straightforward. I'm just trying to write a function to determine whether or not a given year is a leap year. And the rules for that is that on every year that's evenly divisible by 4, except every year that's also evenly divisible by 100, unless it's also evenly divisible by 400, we have a leap year. So, for instance, let's take a look at leap year. So actually this is kind of what I just started writing. So if the year is not divisible by 4, then it's a common year, else if the year is, all right, let's try this. N is not defined. What did I mess up here? Okay, that was embarrassingly difficult. I think I just kind of get myself psyched out here when I'm on camera, but that's okay too. All right, so we should be able to submit exercism. Does it submit leap.py? Okay, exercism fetch. For those of you who are just joining, yeah, Ravi, I actually also thought leap year means divisible by 4. No need to check extra condition, except that there is the extra condition of leap year has the extra condition of being divisible by 100 unless it's also divisible by 400, which honestly I didn't even realize until recently. Alright, so we have a new exercise. Also, there's probably a Python built-in for leap year, but that kind of defeats the purpose. I'm going to check if there is. Yeah, it looks like there's a calendar is leap, which I could have used as a built-in, but that wouldn't be quite as fun. Alright, so we just fetched a new problem. This one's reverse string, so Okay, so assertion error none is not equal to some backwards word here. Looks like backwards ramen with a capital R. So this problem is to simply reverse a string, looks like. So that should be maybe pretty straightforward. So we have a default input of empty string, and I'm pretty sure there's just an extension method where we just say like input.reverse. I could be wrong about that. I'm not the greatest with string manipulation, but we can just check. Yeah, string doesn't have reverse, so maybe maximum recursion depth exceeded. What did I do wrong here? Alright, so maybe I would do this the same way, where we can just go to the docs. Yeah, I could use that list. Did I not call that as an extension method earlier when I did input.reverse? Yeah, I guess I could do that. I thought that there was a so this will the string is just like a list of cars or a list of strings, so okay. Alright, off to a bit of a rocky start. But thank you guys for watching. If you're just joining, I haven't made a video in a few months, and just because I've been busy with a lot of stuff that's been going on, and I thought that I would do a live stream here and struggle through some exercism.io problems using Python. See if there's anyone in the chat here. Yeah, good suggestion, Ravi, about keeping 2 pointers. Yeah, a lot of times when you're working with like linked lists, that's a pretty standard setup for your algorithm. Luckily this time I was just able to use a built-in, well not so much a built-in, but just an array reversal on the string, or list reversal. Alright, so we have a new problem, Isogram, so let's go ahead and cd into that directory. And we'll go ahead and run the tests. Okay, so test duplicated character in the middle. Assert is isogram. X center isogram. Let's look up the definition of that. We can probably just cat out the README here. So, an isogram, determine if a word or phrase is an isogram. Isogram, also known as a non-pattern word, is a word or phrase without a repeating letter. However, spaces and hyphens are allowed to appear multiple times. So, isograms, lumberjacks, background, downstream. Okay, so yeah, basically all the cars in each of these strings are unique. Sometimes it's necessary to raise an exception. When you do this, you should provide a meaningful error. Okay, so that's good. All right, so I think my approach here would be we'll go ahead and create a dictionary, I guess. Let's go ahead and open up the pie. So we need to check whether or not this string is an isogram. So my approach here would be to, well, we don't even really need a dictionary. We can actually just create a list to which we can append string cars in string, and then as we're iterating through the string, we can just check to whether or not that list contains a car that we've already added. So I'm just going to go ahead and do that. So let's say like we can have like a visited array, or in Python just a list. So now we can say like for C in string, and I'm gonna name this S. I don't know if we're allowed to change the method name with or the method definition with exercism, but anyway, for C and S, if S not in visited, then we can append visited. Sorry, if C not visited, we can append C. Otherwise, we want to return false because we would have already visited the car. So else return false. And if we make it all the way to the end of the string, then we can return true. So for each character in our string, if that character is not in our visited array, which is initialized as an empty list here, then we go ahead and add that character to the visited list. Otherwise, if it isn't visited, then we return false, meaning that it's not an isogram because we've already seen the character. If all those conditions, or if this else condition doesn't get hit, then we can return true. Right, so we're still failing because we need to not worry about hyphens. So are there any other characters that we don't need to worry about here? So we'll go ahead and cat out the README again. So 6-year-old is an isogram, even though this hyphen character already appears. So spaces and hyphens are allowed to appear. So since it's just those two, what we can probably do is write an exception, or write an exception for those specifically. For C and F, if C is not visited, append. If C is not in visited, or we can make an ignore array, which we can have a space and a hyphen character. So we want to say that isograms are still isograms, even if they have those space or hyphen cars in them. So if C is not invisited, if the car is not invisited, then we go ahead and append it. For C and S, if C not in ignore, I think that should work. So for each character in the string, if it's not in our ignore list, then we're just going to check whether or not we visited it. Oops, syntax error here. Okay, so now we're getting a different failure case where so we've got a capital A here and a lowercase a, and alphabet, regardless of casing, is not an isogram, so we need to do a check for that. So we should just be able to call toLower on this. Looks like there's a few people in the chat. If you're just joining, then I'm just working through some problems on exercism just for fun using Python. Right now we're checking whether or not a string is an isogram, meaning it only contains unique characters except for spaces and hyphens. And we can just redefine s as s.lower, I think. Okay, so we pass, and now I can go ahead and submit isogram.py. And then we can fetch. Okay, Pangram. So let's go ahead and seed into Pangram. I always do that. Alright, so we can go ahead and cat out the README here. Or just vim it. Alright, determine if a sentence is a pangram, which is a sentence using every letter of the alphabet. Okay, right. So like the quick brown fox jumps over the lazy dog, uses every letter of the alphabet. Case insensitive, and input will not contain non-ASCII symbols. Alright, so I think there's 128 ASCII symbols, could be wrong. Sometimes it's necessary to raise an exception, blah, blah, blah. It looks like that's in every README here. Okay, so we want to be sure that we have hit every letter in our alphabet. There's probably a Python built in for that, for the alphabet anyway. We want to be sure that we've hit every letter. And so my first thought here is to use like a dictionary. And if we use a dictionary with keys for A through Z, the cars, then we can check to make sure, and like the values in that case would be the frequency. And since we only need frequency of 1, we could probably just use a list. So we could do a list that has 26 indices, and then we want to check that none of those indices are not none. Let me think about that for a second. Like if we could map each index to a lowercase letter. There's an ORD function in Python. Let's open up a REPL really quickly. If I recall, there's an ORD function, and let's just like ORD of C. It's 99. ORD of A. It's 97. ORD of Z. So we could do like this dictionary that has keys that are the ordinate values of each of our letters, so it'd be like 97 through 122 inclusive. I wonder if there's a better way to do that. See what the chat says. Baylor says string.ascii underscore lowercase. Looks like that's gonna map it to the ordinate values or something. Oh, I see. ASCII lowercase is just a string that has all of the alpha values. Okay. So if we have a string that has all of the alpha characters lower, then we've got 26 characters there. We could lower the string as our input, the sentence, and then use set. I wonder if that would include spaces here. I'm going to open up a REPL again. In fact, I'm just going to do that in a new window here. So what would like the set of like hello world be? Okay, so that does include spaces, but that's going to, in other words, what I want to check is like if the set of letters in our string is equal to ASCII lowercase, string.ASCII lowercase, with the exception of the spaces. So I'm going to look up the trim method here, which is strip. So if I was to do like foobar.strip, that doesn't remove spaces. Well, I could do replace probably. I don't know if there's a better way to do this. Okay, so then if I was to do like set then we have the list there, and so yeah, let's try that first. So what I can do is sentence, and we'll go ahead and replace spaces. And then what I want to do is, I guess since duplicate cars don't matter for the Pangram, it's just that they all are included, then what I can say is res is equal to set of res. If that's not the length of the string underscore ASCII or string dot ASCII lowercase, then we should return false. If the, actually we can even just say if the set equivalence, right? So like if ordered res is equal to string what is it? Okay. Not sure. I think this might work. So the approach is basically to get rid of all the spaces in our sentence. It may also check for other special characters, in which case we'll have to have a different approach here. But the result will be the set of all of the cars that are in our sentence, and we want to just make sure that that set is equal to the same set provided by ASCII lowercase here. Ordered is not defined. Sorry, sorted, not ordered. Okay, so let's go ahead and lower it, I guess, because it looks like this 5 quacking zephyrs jolt my wax bed should be true. We're returning false because apparently I probably don't lower. So let's go ahead and say res replace lower. Still false is not true. Punctuation. So yeah, punctuation, we will need to handle special characters. What's up, Akash? Today's agenda is just to work through some of these exercism.io problems. If you're not familiar with Exercism, it's a website where you can log in with GitHub, and they've got a bunch of different languages, and I'm just working through some Python problems just for fun because I haven't made a video in a few months, and yeah, I thought it would just be a way to kind of ease back into making some videos. Probably not going to be the most exciting video, but yeah, thought I'd try out live streaming. So. So my first approach here is still going to grab the grab punctuation. I've removed spaces. Alright, so how are we going to handle this? I could just write a regex, I guess, and probably like transform the input string just to the string, or to the cars which are only alphas, and ignore punctuation and still call .to lower on it. The other thing I could do is, like, we know that our alphabet is string.ascii lowercase. So what I can say is, like, cars found, which will initialize as an empty array here. What I can say is for C in sentence, if C in ASCII lowercase, cars found dot append C. So now we're only going to append to our cars found list characters from the alphabet. So that is basically going to build a cars found list that only has the lowercase alpha in it. So we'll go ahead and lower this as well. And then this is probably totally not efficient, but I guess what I could do is say for C in cars found. Actually, for C in string.ascii lowercase. And just to make that a little bit easier here, I'm just going to say alpha is equal to string.ascii lowercase. So for each of the letters in our alphabet, like if that C in our alphabet is not in cars found, return false. Otherwise we can return true, I think. So like for each character in our sentence, if that character is in the alphabet, then we'll go ahead and add it to our cars found list. What that does is it ignores spaces and any other special punctuation that's not in, anything that's explicitly not in ASCII lowercase. And then what we say is for C in our alphabet, if that character is not in cars found, return false. See what the chat says. You can subtract two sets in Python to get a diff. Yeah, that's a good idea. So we could also do it that way. We could get the set, which is the set would of course still include like spaces and punctuation. And then I could do like, I could just ignore that by saying if not in alpha. Let's try this way first. Let's see. Alright, well this passes too, but I think that was also a good idea, Baylor. So go ahead and exercism submit. Pangram.py. Thank you guys for watching. If you're just joining, I'm doing a live stream. I guess it's been going for a little over an hour now. Probably go for another hour. Just getting back into the groove with Python a little bit by working on some exercism.io problems. And I'm sorry that I haven't made a video in a few months. I've just been super busy, but I've got a lot more planned for the spring. So hopefully I'll get back in the game here over the next couple weeks. If you guys have any suggestions for videos that you'd like me to make, feel free to post those in the chat as well. Or other languages that you'd like to explore. So, all right, we're gonna go ahead and fetch. RNA transcription. So I saw Baylor do RNA transcription. Baylor worked on some Ruby problems a few days ago. Let's go ahead and read the README. All right, given DNA strand, return its RNA complement per RNA transcription. Both DNA and RNA strands are a sequence of nucleotides. The four nucleotides found in DNA are these things: adenine, cytosine, guanine, and thymine. The four nucleotides found in RNA are these things. Given a DNA strand, its transcribed RNA strand is formed by replacing each nucleotide with its complement. Your function will need to handle invalid inputs by raising a value error with meaningful message. Okay. Not exactly doing, not at all doing TDD here, but I think that that's really the recommended way to do it, is to run these tests one at a time and get them passing, but sorry about that. So in Python, there is a way to just simply translate, like to create a translation table between cars. So what I can do is I'm getting the DNA strand, and since there's a one-to-one mapping between cars in the DNA strand to the RNA, then I can just map that. So I need to remember how to do that, but there's something like make trans. So we can say T is equal to, I'm gonna look this up, but it's something like make trans ACTG to whatever I don't remember the mapping. So let's go ahead and take a look. What's up, Ivan? Yeah, thanks for watching. Yeah, I'm sorry that I haven't made videos in a while. I was in the groove for a little while and then got kind of busy with some other projects. All right, so GCTA to CGAU. And then I'm going to look up this make trans. I think that's the name of the method. Yeah, make trans. And the way that this works is we just have one-to-one mapping, like just a basic cipher. And then we can call translate and pass that translation table. All right, let's give that a shot. So we need GCTA. And what I'm going to say is DNA strand is equal to DNA strand dot lower. CGAU. So that's our table, and then what is it, string.translate or something? So the string.translate, so we'll say DNA strand.translate and pass it our table. And we're going to need to throw an exception if we get an invalid input. So let's run the test and see if we get failures. Oops, test.py. All right, make trans is not defined. So what do I need to import there? From string import make trans. All right. Cannot import name make trans. Is that only Python 2 thing? What's going on? From string import make trans. It's like a Python 2 thing. So bytes.make trans in Python 3. New static methods. Surely I've used this in Python 3. Okay, cool. So that works. But we have a new test failure here where assertion error u is not equal to u. Oh, I shouldn't too lower it. And probably then it's going to evaluate the condition where we have invalid inputs. But let's go ahead and try that. I just did DNA strand equals DNA strand, which is very wise. What's up, coding geeks? I'm specifically talking to the username coding geeks, but I assume everyone else is also a coding geek. I have a YouTube channel coding like you. That's awesome. I will definitely stop by and check it out. All right. RNA AU. So my mapping is incorrect. What did I do wrong here? Alright, so that passed. It said there'd be a test case where we have to raise an exception, but it looks like that wasn't tested for. If we did need to raise an exception, we would probably just want to like assert that the valid characters for DNA and RNA, we could make like a valid cars list and have C, G, T, A, etc. And then if the DNA strand had cars which were not in our list, then we could raise like a value exception or something. All right, let's go ahead and just push this. Could not find, what is it? Did I spell it incorrectly? Yeah. Underscore. All right, exercism fetch. I apologize for not doing this in TDD, TDD fashion, but still having fun. All right, so we have an ISBN verifier now, so that should be interesting. So the ISBN 10 verification process is used to validate book identification numbers. These normally contain dashes and look like that. The ISBN 10 format is 9 digits plus 1 check character, either a digit or an X only. In the case of the check character is an X. Sorry. It's a pretty long readme. This represents the value 10. These may be communicated with or without hyphens and can be checked for their validity by the following formula. Alright, that's a pretty cool formula. X times 10 plus X times, X1 times 10 plus 9x2 plus 8x4, etc., all the way down to 1x10 mod 11 is equal to 0. Okay, if the result is 0, then it's a valid ISBN 10, otherwise it's invalid. So let's take the ISBN 10 that we plug into the formula and get that the result is 0. Since the result is 0, this proves that our ISBN is valid. Given a string, the program should check to see if the provided string is a valid ISBN 10. Putting this into place requires some thinking about the pre-processing or parsing of the string, right? Because we got to do some numeric operations here. Converting from strings to numbers can be tricky in certain languages. It's even trickier since the check digit of an ISBN 10 may be X, representing 10. Okay, so still this should be probably not so bad. If we see an uppercase X car, then we can simply, like, maybe we'll use make trans again, convert it into a string 10, and then let's think about it. What's going on in chat? Superhuman TDD, as you're making test pass without actually looking at them. Yeah, that's one way to put it. Alright, so let's go ahead and think about this formula. I'm just going to go ahead and copy this formula and put it in a comment in our code because I won't remember it. Okay, so there's our formula, and so we've got 10 digits, and for each, I'm gonna see if I can clean this up a little bit. So basically, of the format 10x1 plus 9x2 all the way up to, wait, did I do this wrong? All right, x1 times 10 plus x2 times 9, 3, 8, 4, 7, 5, 6, 6, 5, all the way up, I see. And we mod that by 11 and assert that it's equal to 0 to have a valid ISBN. Alright, I'm going to try to do the non-superhuman, aka correct way to do TDD here and just run the test. Alright, none is not false. Yeah, because we don't have anything. And so the proper way to do TDD there would just be to return false. first test passing. Okay, so false is not true for a valid ISBN number. All right, so let's go ahead and try to figure this little formula out. So we have some ISBN input. And it's got a leading number followed by, well, it's a string, and we've got some numbers inside of it. So let's go ahead and I guess pull out all of the digits, or all of the numbers in this string, and we'll convert them to a new list of digits. We also have that special case where x can represent the number 10, which actually that's a pretty cool little encoding, because it allows the people who are writing the ISBNs to have a 10 digit and have it still only take up one space. Okay, so what we're gonna have is ISBN digits or something, and we'll have this be an empty list, and we'll say for C in ISBN, what we can do is we want to basically try to parse the input. We want to try to parse each car in the string into a digit. And car to digit, I'm just going to look up the docs to make sure I have this correct. We just wrap it. Python parse string to a number. We just wrap it in int. We could probably wrap that also in a try except. Yeah, like this. All right, let's write a naive implementation first, where we can say for character in ISBN digits dot append like the number version of C. The other thing that we want to do is just do a quick check here, where like if C is X, then ISBN digits dot append C dot append 10, and then we can say else append the integer version of C, and we know that the ISBN contains dashes and possibly spaces, I think it said. So non-digit ISBN cars equal to hyphens or spaces, right? Still pretty naive in the sense that there's like of course we could get any arbitrary string in here, and we would really want to check. Most strings are going to be invalid ISBN numbers, so okay, maybe there'll be more checks for that in our tests. Let's see. So if the character is a capital X, then we're going to append 10 to our ISBN ISBN digits list. Otherwise, we append the parsed integer version of that car. And then we want to go ahead, and I'm just going to write a separate method here for is ISBN given these digits. So digits. This is where we're going to implement our formula here. So what I can say is for digit in digits, what I want to do is, actually what I can do here is say like for I digit in enumerate digits, to do this. Basically, I want to, like, at each index, starting with 10 and going all the way down to 1. So that's like the coefficient. So we'll start out with a coefficient of 10. And what I can say now is for I digit in enumerate digits, I can basically digit, result is equal to 0, and just kind of thinking through this. What I want to do is add to the result, because we basically just have this set of coefficients in this series that we're adding. And so for each of the digits in my, for each digit in my digits, what I want to do is result plus equals the coefficient times the digit, and then coefficient minus equals 1, I think. I think that's correct. That's going to give us the result. Then we need to mod 11 it and assert that it's equal to 0. So what I can say is if at that point result mod 11 is 0, return true. Otherwise we'll return false here. Non-digit ISBN cars. For C in ISBN, if C not in non-digit ISBN cars, Alright, so for each character in our input, if the character is not in this hyphen or spaces, which we might have, if the character is an X, capital X, then we're going to go ahead and append ISBN digits with a 10. And otherwise, we append the integer version of that character. This will probably throw a value error, I guess, if the character is not, so I could try catch there. So I think it's try. Well, I'll do that when the test fails. Okay, so I'm getting a false is not true, and that is the same test. So let's see what's going on here. Verify 3, let's try this PDB thing. If we head back into the exercism docs, I wonder if dash PyDB, alright, PDB, alright, let's try this. Okay. So I think we just do step. Okay, that wasn't actually very helpful. We just immediately failed. Something else going on here? No, we're still failing this test. Okay. Well, let's walk through this really quickly. So we have our ISBN digits as a list. Non-digit ISBN cars are hyphen and space. For each C in the string, if the car is not in our non-digit ISBN characters, and it's a capital X, then we can ISBN digits out of pen 10. Otherwise, we ISBN digits out of pen the integer C for that car. And we're moving left to right. We should also have another check here whether or not, like, at that point the length of the digits, the length of the ISBN digits is not the length of a valid ISBN, that we can just immediately return false there as well to kind of shortcut. Oh, I am totally foolish. So right here I want to return is ISBN digits. And now we'll see what fails. I was just always returning false after I wrote my is ISBN Boolean method. Okay, so we have another failure now. So let's try to figure this one out. Basically, this is a valid ISBN. Test invalid X other than check digit. So I think X can only appear at the end, is that correct? What is this check digit? Check digit is at the end. Okay, so in the case of our test, we had a check digit, or an X anyway, at a location that wasn't the check digit. So that should be invalid. So for C in ISBN, and what I can do here is, although I didn't need to enumerate below, I can enumerate here. And we can say if C is equal to X and ISBN, or I is not equal to 9, then we can return false immediately. So the way I'm going to do that is like this. We'll say if our car is an X and I is not equal to the index where X is actually valid, then we can return false. Else we'll append 10. Otherwise, in every other case where we don't have X, we'll just append our digits as we had before. And I'll go ahead and remove my enumerate from this. We just care about the digits. All right, looks like we have, oops, syntax error. Okay, so here's the case where we're passing a completely invalid character. So we need to check, like, is digit or X, basically, because now we've passed in a K here, which reveals the naivete, or at least one aspect of the naivete of the algorithm that I'm writing. So we can say if C not in non-digit ISBN characters, like or C is digit, is that that's probably a built-in, is digit. Should probably write a separate method for this just to evaluate whether or not the character is a valid digit. If C not in are characters or not is digit. Actually, I'm going to move this logic down. I should probably move the logic up. Because basically if it's not an X or a digit, like if C, I'm just going to write this here temporarily, if C is not equal to X or like if C is equal to X or C dot is digit, then we want to continue. This is getting to be pretty ugly. It could be refactored. So if C is an X or C is a digit, I have multiple bool checks here, so I need to refactor this. We're checking the same thing. So I'm going to write an is valid ISBN car. So if we ever pass in a non-valid car, then we need to immediately return false. Alright, so for IC and enumerate ISBN, if it's a valid car, then we're going to continue. If C not in non-digit ISBN cars, because valid ISBNs will still contain spaces and underscores. Actually, so that's going to mess up our logic. Let me get rid of my highlighting. Enumerate ISBN if C not in non-digit cars, if C equals X. So like if C is not an X or C is or not C is digit, and we can return false. Else if the C is an X. If the index isn't the end of the string, then return false because X is one of these check characters in the ISBN 10. Then we return false, otherwise we append the number 10, and then finally, if all else passes, then we just append the int of the car that we parse. And finally, we have this collection of digits, and we wrote a method here, or I wrote a method to say that we want to validate that it is an ISBN, and that's just given by this formula that they provided in the README, where we start out with a coefficient of 10, and then we sum like coefficient n minus 1 for each of the coefficients in the series. Immediately what I can do here is say like if length of digits is not equal to 10, return false. I think that holds true. Hey Ankur, thank you. Thanks for watching. I know this is probably a really boring video in some ways, but I haven't made a video in a long time and I thought it would be fun to live stream and get back into doing a little bit of Python. So if you're just joining, I'm working on exercism.io problems in Python. And hopefully we get back to more standard programming in the next few weeks, as I've just been super busy lately, but I appreciate you guys watching. So let's run a test. So we're back to false is not true for an earlier test, so we've messed up our logic. This is the problem of not doing TDD, is I'm not actually solving the test in order. What's up, Ivan? That's a really good suggestion. Yeah, Mapbox for the running diary. Yeah, I made that last year. That was kind of fun. Can I do some mapping stuff with Google Maps API? Yeah, that would be pretty cool. That'd be fun. Mapbox is nice because it's easy to get into and free. I don't remember the pricing tier for Google Maps, but there's probably a free tier. Ankur, you're suggesting I should take career-related questions in a live session? Yeah, that'd be fun. If you guys like the live session, I don't know, I'm just kind of trying it out for the first time. But I'd be happy to do that. I've had a bit of a different career than most software developers. I don't know if that's true or not, but I've been a developer for a few years, but before that I was a mechanical engineer. But I'd be happy to talk about any kind of career stuff. That's cool, Ankur. There is a free Google Maps free tier API. That's cool. All right, so let's check our logic here again. If C not in non-digit ISBN cars, what is going on? Where did I mess up? Using Vim in Windows is always kind of an adventure. Not the kind of adventure that's fun. All right, so for IC and enumerate ISBN, if C not in non-digit ISBN cars, so for IC and enumerate ISBN, if the character is not in our non-digit ISBN characters, then we start working on it. So basically if it's not a hyphen or a space, then we check to see if it's not an X or not a digit. Oh, that's incorrect. Oh no, this is correct. So if it's not a digit or it's not an X and it's already not in our non-digit ISBN cars, then return false. So this could all be one bool check, but anyway, Otherwise, if the car is an X, if it's not at the 9th index, return false. The 9th index being the check digit where X is, that's the only valid location for X. I think I just had an else block indented correctly here, incorrectly. Oh no, that's right. So otherwise, if it is at index 9, then that's the valid location, and we can append 10 to our ISBN digits. Otherwise, we append ISBN digits here. Where do I live? I live in the United States. 100 ISBN characters. If C is not equal to X or not C is digit, return false. So let's just check what test is failing again here. So this should return true. So we're returning false somewhere where we should be returning true. Oh, maybe it's this length of our digits check is not equal to 10. Although I thought that that was the case. Yeah, no, the length of 10 is fine, right? So 4 plus 5 is 9, 10, so that's still okay. I don't know why I removed that. If length of digits is not equal to 10, and we can still return false. Let's check this is ISBN method. So we start out with a coefficient of 10. I'm going to move our little rule that we got from the README down below. That is not a very pretty doc string, but it's not a doc string. I'm just using it for reference here. So basically, for each of the digit in our digits, we're going to have this coefficient 10 and an initial value for our result equal to 0. And what we're going to do is multiply the coefficient times the digit. So we're starting at 10, so we get x1 times 10. And we loop through each of those digits until we get to coefficient is equal to 1. Is that correct? So if we start out with 10, then we go to 9, that's right. So let's check our logic here one more time. Basically, we have a list of ISBN digits and non-digit ISBN cars that might appear for the index and character in that ISBN string that we get. If the character is not in our non-digit characters, and then we start processing it. So we say if it's not equal to X or it's not a digit, then we already need to return false. Are there any other special characters that I'm missing? Dashes. So this just has dashes in it. And we should be catching that, no? Right? X or not C is digit. Otherwise, if the character is an X, if it's not at index of 9, then we need to return false immediately. Otherwise, we append digit 10. Otherwise, we simply append digits. Is something wrong with my logic here? It's actually failing the first test, no? So we're returning false. So it's impossible to use Vim properly in Commander, apparently. Maybe I'll use gvim. And we'll go to the ISBN Verifier. Okay, what I'm going to do is so I'll make this a little bit bigger as well. That has been changed since reading it. Do you really want to write to it? Yes. Okay, sorry about that. So I've edited the file and have a syntax error now. Okay, I'll try to remember to keep gvim open. So for I, C, and enumerate ISBN, if C not in, I'm still not understanding where the logic is incorrect here. If our character is not in our non-digit characters, then we check to see if it's not equal to X or is digit. I mean, first of all, let's simplify that a little bit. So if C is not in our non-digit ISBN cars or not C is digit, return false. Otherwise, if it's an X and it's at the 9th index, or it's not at the 9th index, return false. Otherwise, append 10 to our ISBN digits. Otherwise, ISBN digits that append in C. And then ultimately we've built up this ISBN digits list, and we can return a call to this bool function where we check to see if the length of the digits is not equal to 10. If it's not, we return false. Otherwise, we go into this where we have a coefficient of 10. The initial result is 0. For each digit in digits, we add this coefficient times the digit to our result, and then coefficient minus equals 1 each step of the way, and that's just based on the README that came with the problem about the function that checks whether or not a ISBN 10 is valid or not. So then we take mod 11, and if it doesn't divide equally into 11, then we would return false. I'll do something here. I want to check my logic and see where we're failing here. So we are returning false in the first function. And I'm just used to going into Vim through the command line, but we can open gvim back up if I can keep my muscle memory from quitting gvim. So why would 3-598-21508-8 fail in our verify function here? So we'd start out with 3. If C is not in, let's open a Python repo really quickly, and we can just say like 1.isDigit. So that will return true. So if C is not in our non-digit ISBN cars or not C is digit, we return false. Don't see any problem with that so far. Otherwise, if C is equal to X, and if the index is currently not at 9, then we return false, because X is only valid at the 9th index. Otherwise, ISBN digits at append 10, because that's what X translates to in ISBN language, I guess. So otherwise we just append the digit here. So what happens when I just completely simplify our logic here? And I hit quit again, but does this pass our first test anyway? Okay. ISBN digits. Invalid literal for int with base 10. Okay, well that fails our is valid. Sorry that I keep quitting gvim with muscle memory there. So now we're going to check this conditional. Okay, so we're returning false there actually. I want to rewrite this, just I've been staring at it too long. Basically, like, if c dot is digit or c in non-digit ISBN cars, so I'm just going to rework my thought process on this. So for each in the ISBN, if it's a digit or it's in our non-digit ISBN cars, then we're going to go ahead and append that car to our list and then check our list. And I'll make sure not to quit gven. Oh, little for in with base 10 dash. Am I crazy? Oh, it's because I'm calling is digit. Is that? No, that can't be it. It should just return false. Yeah. Oh, I'm an idiot. I'm appending. Okay, I'm actually appending. Alright, so if it's a digit, append our list. Basically, if it's a digit or C is... Alright, if it's a digit, do this. Forget this for a second. If our car is a digit, just append our list. That's all we care about. If C is... And we'll worry about the X in a second, but we're basically going to have to rewrite that. What's up, Diffpedia? Yeah, I am working through some exercism.io problems. I'm using Python, just getting back into the groove with some Python. It's been a few months since I made a video, and so I thought this would be a way to get back into it for a little bit. Yeah, thanks for watching. Wallace, yes, this is Python, and I then need to negate the non-digit array. Yeah, I was thinking about that incorrectly for like the last 15 minutes, so I apologize. Okay, great. So we're now on to our other test, and so we have an X at the end of our. This is that check character for an ISBN 10, so that is actually a valid ISBN. And so currently my check is just saying if it's a digit, append. We can say otherwise if C is X, we can ISBN digits.append 10. The next problem is going to be when we have X in a non-check index, but this should pass this test. Yeah, okay, so now we're actually approaching something closer to being regular TDD, but I apologize, I haven't really been doing TDD. Okay, so now we have this X that's in the incorrect location, so we need to go ahead and make sure that we only check for X's when they're at that 9th index. So I can say if I is equal to 9, then we'll append, else we can immediately return false because we know that if the X isn't in the 9th index, then we have a bad ISBN. Okay, and now we're on to one where we have X at the end, where I say false, but this is actually true. Is that the 9th index? Yeah, 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Test valid with X check digit, and X should map to let's read the README. Sorry, Vim README. So it is a valid. The check digit of ISBN may be X representing 10. So basically I'm saying if C is equal to X and it's at the 9th index, then we append 10 to our digits. Otherwise we return false because it's an invalid. So what could be going wrong with the logic here? I'd like to get PDB working again so that we could actually step through. It's not working, PDB. All right, so verify true, search and error false is not true. This is not exactly what I want. Clayton Parker, so you think you can PBD PyCon 2015, which I should definitely check out after the stream. I see, and the flag PDB only drops us into the debugger when the test fails, which is good. What's my what's the variable that I had that maybe we can still check it? I wonder if I can call a function from within here. I wonder if I do result is equal to false. Actually, yeah, forget that. I don't think I can do that anyway. It's just gonna step me out. Baylor says it's not at index 9. Try removing the hyphens from the string before enumerating. Oh, okay. Yeah, that's not a bad idea. And I did quit again, but thanks, Baylor. That's a great idea. Except that I quit my GVim. And I want to check my logic there. So CDC exercism Python. So yeah, basically I wasn't removing hyphens after I went through and did all of that refactoring where I was just looking at digits. Sorry that one got me hung up for a little while. But that means we can move on to the next one. There was a bonus to do ISBN 13, but I'll leave it to you to do the bonus. I'm just kidding. I don't know. I just want to do the next one. Shout out to Baylor for remembering to replace hyphens in the ISBN before evaluating. Alright, exercism fetch. Also, guys, give me suggestions on videos to make maybe in the next few weeks as I get back into it. I'm wrapping up a course that I worked on over at Productive Dev for a little Ionic app, but I'd be into doing more Python videos or more Angular, Firebase, maybe more React, or more .NET. So really whatever you guys want to look at. Alright, so now we've got this Hamming problem. I remember Baylor doing this a few days ago, but I don't remember what it is. So let's check it out. Okay, so we got a bunch of failing tests to make sure that we get right. Oh, and it's another one of these DNA or nucleotide issues. Calculate the hemming or humming difference between two DNA strands. Mutation is simply a mistake that occurs during the creation or copying of a nucleic acid, in particular DNA. Because nucleic acids are vital, mutations tend to cause a ripple effect. Alright, simplest, most complex, blah, blah, blah. So by counting the number of differences between two homologous DNA strands taken from different genomes, we get a measure of the minimum number of point mutations that could have occurred on the evolutionary path between the two strands. It's called the humming distance. So basically what we need to do is just compare two strings, index by index, and count where car at index I is not equal to car at index I in the other string. So I think that should be straightforward, I think. So let's refresh and then humming. Okay, so what we can do is, first of all, we can check to make sure that the strands are the same length. So like if the length of strand A is not equal to the length of strand B, then we can raise like some type of exception. I should probably raise a specific type of exception, but anyway, what I'll say here is strands must be the same length. And I guess that would be a value exception. Anyway, alright, so otherwise we're going to say is for I in range the length of strand A and then we'll have this distance is equal to 0. That will return. And we'll say that for I in range length strand A, if strand A at the index is not equal to strand B at the index, distance plus equals 1, I guess. Right, and then ultimately return the distance. And first we just check to make sure that the strands are the same length. I think that we want to do that. Yeah. And I write quit again in Vim, but that's okay. So let's try a test. Okay, so we're failing. Test disallow first strand longer. Oh yeah, it asserts that we raise a value error, so let's just go ahead and fix that. And I'm gonna get back into, I'm tired of being in GVim, but at the same time, Vim and Commander doesn't really work that great either. Okay, so the next test, oh, value exception is not defined, hold on. Oh, value error, I think. Okay, yeah, that passes, so that's good. All right, so exercism. Submit, hamming.py. Alright, so I've been going for 2 hours and 18 minutes. I'll probably go for a little while longer. Exercism fetch. I can spell it right. Exercism fetch. Word count. Given a phrase, count the occurrences of each word in that phrase. Okay, so for example, for the input Ali Ali income free, we just count. So, alright, that should be pretty straightforward. Could run the test, but I think all we need to do is to create a dictionary. And then the approach will just be to, for each word in the phrase, we split on spaces, I guess. And then we add each of the tokens in that list to the dictionary with a frequency. Let's go ahead and read the README one more time. So the output is, do we need to format the output like this or just return a dictionary? It just says count the occurrences of each word in that phrase. Alright, let's run the test and we can see what it expects as the output. Okay, so we'll go ahead and vim word count. Sorry, we'll run our tests. Alright, so let's check out one of the tests. We can just run the first failure, I think, which I had before like this. PyTest ff-x maybe? Stopping on the first failure. Okay, so it's also testing apostrophes. So we just need to split on spaces. So let's just start writing. So like word list is equal to phrase.split, which will split it on spaces, I think. We'll have a dictionary for word in word list. What we can do is we can say d at if word in d at word plus equals 1, else b at word is equal to 1. So yeah, so I'm just building this dictionary out, taking a look at each token, if you will, split on spaces in our word list. And I'm going to return the dictionary until I understand exactly what format they want to return. Okay, so we're still testing apostrophes. Oh, I see. So there's a assertion error here where we don't have capital letters. So we just need to do some more pre-processing on our input. Phrase.lower. So what else are we missing here? It includes periods. So first one, don't to, laugh one, then one, cry, cry period. So we need to remove space. We need to remove punctuation. So I'm going to use that string ASCII. What was it again? ASCII lowercase. So what I can do is like phrase is equal to phrase or phrase is equal to C for C in phrase if C in string.ASCII lowercase or something like that. I think that is correct. Let's test that in the REPL. So so we have something here that's like foo bar. Alright, so we'll say x is equal to foo with a period bar, and then we can say like our list is just using this list comprehension C for C in X if C in string.ASCII lowercase. And then we join. What am I doing wrong here? C. We want if C in or C is equal to space. Right, and then no. Oh, that's right. Actually, there's string.punctuation in Python. So yeah, so what I can say is x.translate, and we can use translate again, but just passing none as the first. I thought I could do that. Or what if I did x is equal to C for C in x if C not in string.punctuation. Okay, that's what I want to do. So phrase is equal to phrase dot, actually this empty string dot join each character C for C in phrase if C not in string dot punctuation. Okay, so we have a new failure here. Now that I've removed punctuation, it wants me to keep apostrophes. So we'll make our own valid punctuation. It's equal to string.punctuation. Hey Abhijit, live chess hangout, what's this? Is that what it's called? This whole time I haven't updated the name of my live stream from live chess hangout, which I think the last time I did a live chess hangout was like 1.5 years ago. So I'll be sure to update the name of my stream somehow, which I'm not really sure how to do that. Yeah, let me go here. 5/28/2017. All right. Exercism.io Python live stream. I'm just going to call this a hackathon live stream. And the category is not gaming anymore. It should just be science and technology, and it's public. Thank you, Mr. Singh, for bringing that to my attention. I've been going for 2.5 hours with the wrong title on the video. All right, our string.punctuation.remove dot. I don't know if that's going to be this is also pretty naive because we could have other punctuation. .remove hyphens. Okay. So now we'll say not invalid punc, and I'm just going to go ahead and do that too. Here. Alright, so let's run our test again. String has no attribute punctuation. That's correct. String has no attribute remove, so I need to... Oh, punctuation is not a list, it's the string. Sorry about that. Okay, what do we have now? Test cramped list. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. Whoa, that's interesting. 1, 2, 3 is not equal to 1, 2, 3. Ah, so we need to replace commas with spaces. So the first thing I can do is just phrase is equal to phrase dot replace commas with spaces. So we have another test which is failing, which is our last test to pass, and we need to test non-alphanumeric. So hey, my spacebar is broken is not equal to hey, my spacebar is broken. So we replace underscores with spaces. Ivan says join as the commas automatically. You need another clean after it. That's true. So now we have another test failure here where we test quotations. Not equal to Joe 15 cars, tell between large and I see. So we want to keep double quotes. Ending up with kind of a funny string replace method here. Should really just have a translate table. Alright, so replace this with this, replace this with this, replace takes it most. Oh, my bad. I wasn't paying attention. So now our valid punctuation will yeah, we're removing quotes. Okay, so we get another failure and we're still testing quotations here. Assertioner Joe tell between large and Okay, so it wants double quotes. Assert R equal. Joe can't tell between large and large. I see. So large occurs twice. Whereas in mine I have large in single quotes occurring once and large without quotes around it occurring once as well. Which was exactly what I had before here. Doing large and large. Basically I just want to remove single quotes from the input now. So we're replacing commas with spaces, we're replacing underscores with spaces, and we need to replace single quotes with nothing. Except when the single quotes are within a word, like when it's a compound word. So in that case, what I want to do is, I really don't want to loop through the array again to check if like a token starts with quotes or not. What I can say is if word at the first index is equal to a single quote, what I can say is clean word is equal to word. If word at the first index is equal to this, and in English there wouldn't be a case where you wouldn't have a single quote at the beginning of a word without a quote at the end of the word also, but we can just explicitly say and word of -1 is equal to this, then the clean word is equal to word from actually 1 to -2. Or hold on, what am I getting wrong here? Let's open this up in the REPL. What I'm trying to do is just get the word inside of the quotes, single quotes here. And then we can say d at clean word plus equals 1. I'm going to go ahead and open up the REPL. Sorry. And so, like, let's say we have a string that looks like this, where we have hello. And so s at 1 is h. Okay, but we want to look at the case where we have single quotes. Okay, so if I get s of 1 through, is it -2? -1? Yeah, s of 1 to -1. What's s at length of s? -1. Okay, I see. So I want to get s from 1 to -1. Okay, key error large in this case. So what's the logic here that we're messing up? If this is equal to this, clean word is equal to this, what I'm going to do is have a def add to dictionary key, and we'll just call this k. D. If k in D, D at the k is equal to 1, call this add update dictionary for k and D, or if k is in D, then we iterate, otherwise we create a key for it. So that's our clean word, and then we say add update dictionary with our clean word. Else add update dictionary with the word passing in RD. Okay, so the thought process here is now we are, for words which are explicitly surrounded by quotation marks, single quotes, then we just want to get the words within the quotes. We want to keep single quotes in the case of compound words like don't and can't, that sort of thing. Alright, so that passes. So that's good. What is it? Submit word count.py. Okay, cool. Probably gonna wrap it up here pretty quickly, considering I've been going for almost 3 hours at this point. Maybe we'll fetch one more and kind of take a look at it. Gigasecond. All right, so cd gigasecond. So add gigasecond to a birth date. think from this we can do from datetime import, what's it called? Time delta, that's right. So from datetime import time delta. And for this, I think we can say like return time delta birth date, and we want to return the time delta of a gigasecond, which is 10 to the 6, I think. No, sorry, 10 to the 9th, I think. And I need to see how time delta works. Datetime time delta -1. So I'm gonna do I'm gonna do like the birth date plus this time delta seconds. Sorry, so seconds, is that right? Seconds equals or something? The syntax was actually kind of interesting. Yeah, time delta, we'll do seconds equals 10 to the 9th, and we'll basically just add birth date to that. I think this will work. Birth date plus this. Sorry, alright, so now we need to test gigasecond.py. So if you're just joining, I see people coming and going from the chat, which is cool. I haven't made a video in a while, so I'm just live streaming for the first time. Well, not exactly the first time. I did some chess, did some live streaming of chess back a few years ago, maybe a year and a half ago, and now I'm working through some exercism.io problems in Python. And we just finished up the gigasecond problem, which was to add a gigasecond to a given date. 10 to the 9th seconds. So calculate the moment when someone has lived a gigasecond. And all we did was use the time delta function that's built in to return the given input year plus the time delta gigaseconds, or 1 gigasecond. All right, so we can exercism submit gigasecond.py. All right, we have a new one, Bob. Bob is a lackadaisical teenager. In conversation, his responses are very limited. Bob answers sure if you ask him a question. He answers something else if you yell at him, and something else if you yell a question at him. So it looks like we're going to be doing some string parsing. And this will probably be my last one for the day. So let's run the tests. Okay, so so basically we have an assertion error, none is not equal to fine, be that way, which Bob should respond if we give him a message which is just a bunch of tabs. So that's empty, right? So if we go back to the README, if we don't say anything to him, then he says that. Thanks, Baylor. Everyone be sure to check out Baylor's channel. I know there's not a lot of people here right now, but Baylor started the trend of doing exercism.io problems on YouTube Livestream, and it has been a lot of fun trying them so far. I'm going to try to cap this at a little over 3 hours, or whenever I finish this problem that we just pulled down. But yeah, keep on going. So Bob says, fine, be that way if we don't say anything. So if phrase is nothing, then we can return fine, be that way. I'm not sure if I got the casing correct. It's a period. What is it? Dot trim. So we want to trim white space. Strip. Yeah. Dot strip. Oops. And it's a capital B. All right, so if it's a question, then he responds sure. So we can say elif, here we'll say p is equal to phrase.strip. And then we can simplify this a little bit. So we could say elif p of -1 is equal to question, we'll return sure. Okay, and if we have all caps and a question mark, then he says, calm down, I know what I'm doing. So we can actually just append this elif p -1 as this, and we can say if is all caps p, return I know what I'm doing. Def is all caps for a particular string. And for C in S, and here we actually want to replace spaces. Empty string here. And we also want to remove punctuation. If C not in string dot punctuation. Whew, starting to get pretty tired. Basically, I want to see, like, there's that ASCII string.ASCII uppercase as well. Let's open up the REPL, and let's say I have some string that's like it is upper. Built-in method is upper of string object. Oh, it's for like list comprehension. So like I could do like x is equal to foo bar, and then I could say y is equal to, or I can just put it out to the console, c for c and x if x dot is upper or something like that. Yeah. Wait, no. Sorry, if c is upper, and that's still not correct. C for c and x if x is upper. Yeah, my bad. Obviously method. Alright, so what do I want to do? What I could do is, for this all caps, is I could start a list of words that are lowercase, and if that ever, or if I ever get a lowercase character, so if I ever get a lowercase character, then I can return false. So alright, so let's work through this. So result is equal to c for c and s dot replace spaces with empty string if the c is not in string dot punctuation. I'm not going to worry about that because is upper doesn't care, so in fact what I can say is c for each character in the string, we can say if c dot is lower, basically return false. And what happens if we like dot is lower? That returns true, or that returns false as well. If c dot is lower for c and s, s is equal to So our result will be each character in our string, where we've replaced spaces with empty string if the character is not in the list of string punctuation. And that's a string, so we need to say our punctuation is like P for P in string.punctuation. So for C in result, if C is lower, we return false. Otherwise, ultimately, we return true, meaning that everything that we came across was a capital letter. And if that's the case, then Bob returns this string, calm down, I know what I'm doing. Oops, syntax error. Result is equal to okay, so we're on to the next test, and this is when Bob responds whatever, which tests multiple line questions. So if we have a new line, which we can see in the string, then Bob responds whatever. And in what case does Bob respond whatever to anything else? So here we can just say return whatever. Okay, so now we're on to the next test. Test non-letters with question. So smiley face, question mark should return sure. So we strip white space from the phrase. It's an empty string, we say find B that way. Otherwise, if it ends with a question mark, if it is all caps, I see. So what's going to happen here when we have smiley face or a colon and parens, then P for P in string.punctuation is our punctuation list, and we replace each character of C not in punctuation. If the character is not in punctuation, we build up this result list. And then for each character in that result list, if it is lower, we return false. If anything is lower. Otherwise, we return true. And when we ran the test, we return calm down, I know what I'm doing, meaning that is all caps actually return true. So for C and res, if C is lower at any point, which is going to be false in the case of punctuation, then we don't want to return false here. Or we don't want to return true for is all caps when it is the case that everything in the sentence or at any point is punctuation. So like the test case provides a sentence where we just have punctuation and a space and a question mark. In that case, we want to return sure because we end in a question mark. And we want is all caps to return false here. Actually, I think there might be another way to do this, where we also say like, whoops, sorry, my Vim's getting all messed up. Where I can say like, caps is actually each character in string.ascii uppercase. Because what I'm thinking is like, if there are no characters that are in ASCII uppercase in the sentence, then we also want to return false. So we want to say like, if none of the characters are uppercase, then return false. Whew, I'm getting pretty tired actually. Baylor making a Ruby joke probably from about 5 minutes ago whenever I didn't have braces, square brackets around my list comprehension. True developer's language. Yeah, I'm looking forward to wrapping this last one up. I can say since we replace punctuation, except for the question mark, so like let's pull in actually p up to -1. That way we're not grabbing the last punctuation, and then I can basically say like if it's an empty string. So like if s is equal to an empty string, if result is an empty string, return false. Ooh, I feel like I'm like running out of juice pretty quickly here. works. Okay, test non-letters with question. Oh, it's still the same one. So that actually didn't work. Being stringed out punctuation. Stringed out punctuation does not have, yeah, it's got colon and parens. And C for C in hello. If C for C and S, if S dot replace, which we don't have, if C not in punt, stringed out punctuation. Right, and so if I have S is equal to this smiley face with a space and a question mark, we get a space. Oops, sorry, that's not what I want to do. Yeah, running low. Result is equal to all of this, and we can strip, I guess. Oh, this is a list. But we're still failing. Oh, that's the other thing. I did punct is equal to C for P for P, just to be clear, in string dot punctuation. Okay, and then I did result is equal to C for C in S dot replace spaces if C not in punct. So if result in empty array, return false. Okay, so we get our next test, which says test question with only numbers. So if he gets 4 and a question mark, then he responds sure. Okay, interesting logic here. If result is equal to this, return false. Otherwise, we're gonna also like if C not in punct or C not in, instead of punct here, what I'm gonna do is like invalid cars is equal to punct plus knowns. Actually, it could be any arbitrary number, so what I could do is just if C not in punct character for character in the string, if the character's not in punct or not is digit. String that is digit. Yeah. All right, so let's do for C in s.replace. So if we give him the string 4, the question mark, result is equal to C for C in S if C not in punct or string, sorry, we're not, string dot is digit C. That didn't work. So for C and S, if C not in punct or C or not string dot digit C. Wait, why is that being added? Sorry, I shouldn't just be guessing here. So each character in S, if the character is not in punctuation, it's punct, it's this. S is this. Result is equal to each character in S. I just did it in S. Well, that should get rid of both. Whew. Sorry. C not in punct and not string is digit C. Okay, on to our next test. He says, whoa, chill out if we end in an exclam. Hopefully we're getting to the end of this one. This is kind of a long one. LFP -1 is an exclam. We return whatever he said. Whoa, chill out. Comma. So comma in capital, comma in lowercase c, and exclam. Okay, if he says it's all caps, and we say we'll chill out. Say is all caps. Another test. Test talking forcefully, where we say, let's go make out behind the gym, whatever. Where's this forcefully? Will chill out is not equal to whatever. So maybe we'll check out the README. What is this? I don't see anything about forcefully. He says whatever to anything else. So let's check out the test. Wow, there are actually a bunch of other questions here, a bunch of other test cases. This forcefully thing is interesting. Bob, hey, let's go to the gym. So how is that sentence different than yelling? Oh, shouting is all caps. Forcefully is just exclam. So I think it's just the case, if it's all caps, he says, chill out. Sorry. Okay, cool. So we finished a bunch of these. I don't know how many, maybe like 5 or 6. And yeah, got off to a bit of a rough start. Maybe never got out of the rut a little bit, but anyway, that was a lot of fun. Yeah, so I guess we should be able to check out on exercism now. We go ahead and log in. And the exercise in progress. Okay, so we did like 11 of them. That's cool. I guess I've been streaming for about 3.5 hours. Just long enough, I think. So yeah, thanks for watching. Yeah, maybe I'll do this. Maybe I'll do this again. Maybe we'll do some other types of live streams. Some people asked for type of question and answer type live stream. That might be kind of fun as well. So I'll be sure to think about setting that up. Sorry about not making a video in a few months actually. We'll get back into that here in the next month or so as well. But anyway, yeah, thanks for watching, and I'll catch you guys next time.